All right, here we go. Wow, wow, wow. I know a lot of people will probably be looking at this on the video, the repeat feed, but I'm going to just give Facebook 2 minutes to build the audience, and I will be doing my first ever, the initial, the Virgin Run uh, evening, my first evening Glue Wednesday. So welcome, 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 welcome to Glue Wednesday. And we'll see what happens. Let's give it less than a minute to go, and then I'm going to get started. Hey, what's up, John? Long time, man. Way back. Okay. Oh, okay. Good. Getting some people. Look, yeah, look, welcome, you guys. This is my first evening broadcast of what I call Glue Wednesday. Normally, I do Glue Wednesday at noon on Wednesdays. Hey, Francis, long time. What's happening in Leicester, New York? Okay, and these shout outs I won't be doing throughout the thing. It's just that I'm so glad to see some faces and people that I know. But what Glue Wednesday is, a lot of times people tend to think of Wednesday, and the cliche is that it's hump day. In other words, it gives the connotation that we have to get over. And so that's what I'm saying. I like to turn things and put a positive twist on them. So instead of calling Wednesday hump day, I call Wednesday Glue Day, because Wednesday is the middle of the week, and it's the day of the week that keeps the week together. It keeps the weekend and the week beginning together. So it's the glue. And then my glue is also Glue. God's love undoes everything. See, that's the glue. And it's not saying that God's love will mess things up, but that what's ever going bad for you, wrong turns that you've twisted and taken in your life, that God's love is what will undo those bad turns and help them work out for you. So today my topic is Glue Wednesday, but it's also August. August. Always understand. God understands. Stay strong. August. Always understand. God understands. Stay strong. And what I'd like to start my broadcast out with, giving a shout out to two people. I want to shout out to Chris Allen and Kim Woodford for your support in purchasing my books to share the message. Both bought the book, I Found Out I'm Dying, A Celebration of Life. A message that allows us to also realize that sometimes we get caught up in the headlines and we miss the subtitles in life. You see, the subtitle of the book is A Celebration in Life. So this book is not focused on death, but on celebrating life. And often the negative stress in our lives comes from the headlines and our perception of each message. That's why I always remind you, choose your messengers carefully, because the messenger you choose is the message that you'll take, and it's in a domino effect, and you bring that poison if it's a bad message, or you bring that glory if it's a good message to somebody else. Life is about going from one puzzle to the next. You're either a small, medium, or large piece in every puzzle that you go into. But no matter what size piece of the puzzle you think you are, without you, that puzzle is considered incomplete. So it's so important for us to choose our messages carefully and then take that message to somewhere else and be that piece of the puzzle. For instance, if you're a parent, then you are the larger piece of the puzzle in your house, and the child, so you're a smaller or medium piece. And sometimes at the job, even though you may be the employee, sometimes the supervisor or the boss is not necessarily the larger piece of the puzzle. It depends on every relationship. Because there are times where the employee, if we're looking at the job situation, is a bigger piece of the puzzle because of their output. And it's not a power struggle thing. It's a supervisor, a secure supervisor or manager recognizing how important their employee is. And so that can make them a big piece of the puzzle in a certain way. So everything is about perception and perspective. And so important for you to choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you are somebody's messenger, and we need you to carry that right message. So they both bought I Found Out I'm Dying, A Celebration of Life. Kim also bought Do You Have Any Idea How Fine You Are? My poetic tribute to God's greatest gift to and source of mankind, women. You see, the respect of women must start with women respecting themselves. There's a connecting poem from from Do You Have Any Idea How Fine You Are? There's a connecting poem in I Found Out I'm Dying, a celebration of life, called Through a Child's Eyes, which talks about how the mother is often the child's first hero. And that poem is a conversation of a baby who's on the table having his diaper changed, and while talking to a conversation that the baby is having with his mother while it's having his diaper changed. The poem is actually in the middle of a set of 3 different poems that go from a child in the womb to a baby boy, a child in the womb to on the table getting the diaper changed, to a baby boy being socialized through the stages of maturity. And then it wraps up this content with this comment, which takes us to the part that we all play in respecting the women in our lives. See, always in my poems, I add a little commentary of why I'm using the poem. So here's the commentary that comes after those 3 poems that give you 3 stages of a child: in the womb, in the diaper, and then growing up socialized as a boy. And the first poem is called The Creator, and that's the baby in the room. Then Through a Child's Eyes, that's the baby on the table. And then the third poem is called The Socialization Process, or Where Are All the Good Men, or Not Dogs, Graduates. Because it's a poem about the fact of how we socialize our boys. And they're not necessarily, we call them dogs, but our boys are not dogs. They've been taught different lessons. So let's hear what it says. Ladies and gentlemen, no is the word we've heard the most in our lives. It's often the first we get good at saying. How many girlfriends do you have? Or some version can often be in second place for males. You see, our society raises boys to judge their manhood by the number of women they have, while raising girls to be monogamous. So at that teenage stage that girls so often feel like they're more mature than their male peers, they aren't. They've been taught different lessons. And again, men, don't suppress your smile and say, yeah, sporty, you're taking up for us. No, we've got to learn the lesson that respects how we want our mothers, sisters, or good female friends treated. The lesson that says you are a man because you're a responsible, dependable individual who knows that your strength lies in the number of lives you impact positively, not the number of women you have. In fact, let's all remember to send the right message to every child, boy or girl. The message that says, you are a child, a human being. I recognize that you need love, nurturing, and room to grow. Understand that discipline and respect will enhance that growth. I've been where you are. I'd like to see you get where you want to go. So recognize that that's what's really important, is seeing that we socialize our boys and girls to learn different lessons. And in the process of doing that, we then find ways to give them a strike. We say that our girls are too fast and trashy, and then we say our boys, like I said, we call them dogs and say they're always hounding. You know, stop putting labels on the kids. Children mock and mirror adults. If you're the adult that they mock and mirror, you shouldn't have a problem with it. So it's important that we make sure that we train our children so that they can know what path they should follow, because they've got a lot more choices than we have. You know, you can't spend a lot of time saying, well, this is the way it used to be. Children have, because of us, by the way, P.S. by the way, children didn't invent the internet. We did. You know, children didn't come up with cell phones. We are the ones that didn't like to always run to the hallway and have a race to see who can answer the phone. We came up with the shortcuts. And so they grew up with the shortcuts. So they don't actually know the long cuts. So let's stop blaming them for something that they don't know. We even say, oh, you don't know how good you've got it. They don't. So why are we going to criticize them? Why are we going to beat them down for it? Get that relationship with your child and somebody else's child. Doesn't have to be a maternal child. Get that relationship where they can talk to you, they feel comfortable talking to you, where they can learn something from you. And as you saw that I read those 2 poems, and they're 2 different books, but you know, that's what I want to say. Please, never see my books as just poetry. I want you to realize that they are poetic prophecies that walk us into today's message, which is August. Always understand, God understands. Stay strong. Because the thing is that God I'm just the conduit that he's going through, and he's going through you delivering a message as well. So let's look at that word August. Let's start with the first word, always, because it's always understand that God understands. Stay strong. But let's look at always. Always means that there's never a breach. This thing will continue to happen with or without you. And there will be no one to report something called the end of all time. So always will never stop. And what will never stop is the fact that each of us is a conduit through which God pieces together the happiness in our lives. In his formula are a lot of ups and downs, and they give us the chance to exercise and embrace our faith. If we latch on to the wrong messenger, doubt creeps in, and we temporarily lose that conduit connection and forget that faith is F-A-I-T-H, feeling as if there's hope, recognizing that the only thing we cannot do is what we have not done, and that is give up. We haven't given up, and so we continue to not give up. So don't tell yourself that you are a failure and that you're a quitter and that you're giving up. Have faith, feeling as if there's hope, and recognizing that you can't give up. You see, so often we fall, forget, and then have to get back up to reconnect. And that's the middle part of our message today. God understands that process. And he welcomes us back with the end part of the message. He says, stay tough. So always understand that God understands what you're going through. And he still says, have faith and stay tough. Now, let's look at that last word, tough. I chose from among its meanings, capable of enduring strain and hardship, robust, which is also strong and vigorously healthy. Tough has some other T words as well, tenacious, testimony, track record. And I've got to tell you that right now, I'm going through a tough last few months. I've had engagements canceled while the bills still pile up. Yet I want to share this storm with you to remind you that my situation does not dominate my obligation. My situation does not dominate my obligation. If I can only offer you shiny words when everything is working the way I plan, then I've lost sight of the fact that God's plan is the only one worth my smile. I have to repeat that. If I've lost sight of the fact, if I can only offer you shiny words when everything is working according to my plan, then I've lost sight of the fact that God's plan is the only one worth my smile. So I'm going through a storm right now, y'all, and I'm welcoming you into my storm while I'm in it, because I'm going to be coming out of it. And you'll be able to, you know what, he talked about that storm while he was in it. Not just when I get out of it. Everybody can tell you their testimony when it's over. And I'm not knocking people that don't tell you their testimony while they're going through it. I'm just saying that I'm one that's going to tell you that. You see, I remember when I went through my car repossession, my housing foreclosure, and my bankruptcy in 1998 through 2000. I recall the words, which I still use today, of my speaking mentor in New York, Robert Gedalia. Robert said to me, he said, as a speaker, you get paid to live your life by stepping outside and believing that whatever happens is another chance for you to connect with your audience from the platform. As a speaker, you get the chance to live your life by stepping outside and believing that whatever happens is another chance for you to connect with your audience from the platform. And so in 1998 and 2000, when I was losing the car and the house and the bankruptcy, that's what I did. I stepped outside of myself and I laughed at each stage of those processes while I carefully learned what faith and tough is really all about. I did a post a few weeks ago that stated I never questioned God. And someone answered my post by saying that they did question God. See, they misunderstood my post. It was not a comment. It was a comment, not a survey. And it took me back to how I can still laugh and look at my tough times. And my only question of God is, am I crazy? See, I never asked God, is he crazy? I never asked God, why am I going through this? Where are you in the midst of my storm? Why are you letting this happen to me, my family, my niece, my nephew, my loved ones? I never questioned God. I always have had a strong faith, even when I didn't know I had it. I've always exercised it because the truth is people watch you. Your words, your word in communication, your communication is 55% how you look, 38% how you sound, only 7% the words you use. So the words that you use have to be quality words, and they have a lot of impact. People are listening to you, but more importantly, people are watching you, and they see your faith. So when you say you have faith and then you don't show your faith, then they see it, and they recognize that you're really not a good messenger for them. And that's how life happens sometimes. So choose your messengers carefully. And my reminder to you this evening is that you are not crazy. You're not crazy if you have strong faith. You're tough. And that's the easy part. See, that's the easy part. The challenge is staying tough. And we do so by reconnecting to that first word in August, which is always. In my book, Starting Today, I have an affirmation that I call the implementation crew. You see, so often we complain about the week from hell where we got nothing done because of problems, trials, and tribulations. How about the week from heaven, where so many blessings showered down that we didn't get to do all that we had planned? I wish you a week from heaven where nothing goes according to your plan, but everything according to the master plan. August. Always understand that God understands. Stay tough. Recognize that we're on the implementation crew and only God is on the planning committee. A lot of times we'll say that. We'll say, well, you know what, if it's God has it for me, then I'll get it. And then when we don't get something, we're like, oh, I don't know what happened. They're prejudiced. They don't like me because I'm this, that, because I'm that. And then what happened to, if it's for me, God will give it to me. See, that's where your faith has got to be. When you say, if it's for me, God will give it to me, then you have to believe that. Get out the way. I call it pray and get out of the way. So recognize that that's what you have to do is August. Always understand that God understands. Stay tough. And thanks for tuning in live, later, or sharing, or on YouTube. And please do go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, even if you're watching this on Facebook. You'll help me extend the reach and the impact of what we share together. And what we share is glue. Glue Wednesday, Glue. God's love undoes everything. Make sure that you have the right glue because you are the right glue. You make it happen. Next week, I'm celebrating my mother's birth anniversary. And so I have to give her a shout up, not a shout out. I give her a shout up. One thing she used to always say to me, she said, keep it together, mister. Well, I like to make sure that I let her know that Glue Wednesday is what helps me keep it together. And you can let it keep you together too. Don't, in fact, recognize that Wednesday isn't always somebody else's middle of the week. When people say, thank God it's Friday, sometimes Wednesday is somebody's Friday. Everybody's on a different time. Not everybody works Monday to Friday. So it is an individual thing that we all have, but we can individually recognize that we are wonderful. God is so good to us. Every day on this side of the ground, it really is a good one. So thanks for tuning in. My normal broadcast, like I say, is on Wednesdays at noon. I'm going to look at this and see if I can, because usually Wednesday nights I have something else on my schedule. I might switch the day that I do it and try, many people as possible, I can get to the message. That's the way it goes because that's what it's all about. So once again, and finally, thanks again for tuning in. God bless you. Have a good rest of the evening and have a wonderful night. Over and out. Ciao.